Welcome to Some Good Tea, where we drink some tea and we share some tea. I'm your host, Katie, and today I'm sharing some tea with Katie. Woohoo! I've been so excited because it's like, oh my gosh, podcast with Katie.
With
Katie.
Katie.
Yeah.
Katie squared.
Katie squared. My nerd brain loves it. It's like science, yes. We are enjoying some Cinnamon Apple Chamomile Tea by Stash today. It finally snowed. It's like winter almost outside.
Yes. I mean, yeah, definitely winter.
Yeah.
It's so cold.
No,
I hate
gosh,
it.
It got really cold. I love it.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I do.
See, I'm much more of like an early fall, like summery person.
But
like,
yeah,
I would
that's fair.
much rather it be like super, super hot.
Oh gosh, no. Like right now, like I even turned off my heater because I came home from work and I was like, I'm dying.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
that's
fully
fair.
dying of heat exhaustion. So yeah, I love the cold and the crisp. As long as I'm not cold.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I love wandering around like out in the snow as long as I'm
Yes.
bundled.
Yes.
But if I like have to go to work and I'm just in like, you know, my like professional attire, I'm
Normal
like, this
work
is
clothes.
horrible.
Yeah, you have to freaking scrape your car. I hate scraping my car.
Yes.
I'm so glad I have a garage. That was actually like a big thing because I was like, hey, if I'm going to live in this place where it snows, I have to have a garage because I will just wake up mad that I have to scrape my car.
Terrible start to a day.
I know. Well, it sounds so entitled, but I just know myself, okay?
No, that's fair.
I did my time. So, anyway, we just went on a random tangent, but that's what my podcast is all about. Our topic today is actually tech and, like, all of our different tech that we have in our life that we've grown up with or that has kind of come about when we're growing up. And I was actually really stoked to do this topic with you because we come from a similar age group.
Yes.
Where it's like as we were growing up, we were getting things and it was like a new thing.
Yep.
So I'm excited to see what questions we get, but we're going to be rolling 20-sided dice and we're just gonna go from there. I think our tea has probably steeped long enough.
Perfect.
So we'll pour some tea. It's very hot. So be careful to not burn your mouth.
Oh, I'm so excited. Ooh, it's a pretty color.
Stoked. I know, it's like a lovely rose, like a lovely rosy color.
Don't spill any on the cat.
I mean, he probably wouldn't notice. He's very poofy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Though it is quite hot. And how about you roll a dice, and I'll ask you a question first so you can let your tea kind of like cool down just a little bit. I know.
We're taking the red one.
It's a solid wooden dice. Isn't
it's-
that cool?
It's redwood, yeah?
Yeah, cherry wood.
Cherry wood.
Isn't that pretty?
It's so pretty.
I've never had a wooden dice before, and I was really stoked to get that.
Nice. Let's see. Whoa.
Ooh, 14.
14.
Ooh, that'll be a good question. I mean, who am I kidding? I always
They're
ask
all
good
good
questions.
questions.
14. Ew, this is actually kind of a fun question, okay? More like philosophical for a typically rather lighthearted podcast. Every time something new comes along, there seems to be a lot of like pushback and questions about whether we really need it? Is it really necessary? Oh my gosh, what is it gonna do to the children? Think of our brains, like all of that stuff, right? There seems to be like that pushback. So like phones or like having a camera on your phone, your cell phone that you carry, that was like a whole new thing at one point. And there's always new apps or features for phones. There's Apple Watches. There's the Google Glasses that they were thinking of coming out with, right? So there's all these things where we're just kind of taking that next step and that next step and the next step. But what do you think, like based on what our tech is at right now and where we see things going, do you need it? Do you want it?
Yeah. Need? Probably not. Like, I feel like there's a lot of technology that, like, yeah, we kind of need nowadays. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about how we're from a similar age group.
Yeah.
Like, having a map on your phone.
Oh my gosh.
Not having to, like, print out MapQuest directions and things
Yeah.
like that. Like, that Could we still use MapQuest? Sure. But
Yeah.
it just makes it so much more convenient. You're not, like, trying to look at this paper while,
Yeah.
you know, trying to figure out where the street is. You know exactly where you're going.
Yeah. Real time
Yeah.
where you're going.
Makes it super convenient, super easy.
Yeah.
So I think, like, needing that, sure.
Yeah.
But, like, needing the latest iPhone every single time one comes
Yeah.
out, probably not. Like, I'm okay. Maybe this is showing my age, maybe not. I don't know. I am not one of those people that needs the newest iPhone every single time. Like, I will splurge.
I don't really. Yeah.
Like, once my phone dies. Like,
Yeah.
I literally, the last time I bought
becomes
a phone.
like glitchy, less useful.
Yeah.
Battery life is starting to run low. Like, why? Why would you need to replace something? I don't feel like we should have technology that we put so much work and so much effort into producing, and it has a big price tag that is designed to be thrown away in 6 months to a year.
Yeah, when the next one comes out.
Yeah.
My
That's a
last
little
phone was like hemorrhaging batteries.
Oh,
some
no.
some of the buttons wouldn't work, so
Oh,
I
honey.
literally had to like turn on certain settings
Yeah.
to avoid using that button that did no longer worked.
So that you could limp it
So that I
along
could-
as much
yeah.
as possible.
And so
yeah,
finally
you
I
probably
was like-
needed a new phone.
Yeah, I was like, finally, like, new phone, and so I bought, like, the latest and greatest, like, the biggest screen, the best camera, because the guy helping me was like, you destroy your phones. Like, you will run it into the ground. How old is this phone? And I'm like, you don't want to know?
But that's the thing, though. Like, yeah, you might, like, have a lot of wear and tear on it, but honestly, if it made it that far and was still, like, mostly functional,
Yeah.
that's not, you're not really destroying it, I would say.
Yeah.
You're using it like a phone, right?
Right.
But there is a lot of wear and tear. So, yeah, I feel like it's a balance, right? Like, if you're going through tech that fast, maybe you should reevaluate how you handle your property.
Yep.
You
Get
know?
a case for it. Stop dropping your phone.
Yeah, stop dropping your phone. Don't put in water. Like, just do the things you should probably do to help maintain it.
Yeah.
But
That's fair.
yeah.
But yeah, then there's a lot of technology out there that, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, some of the things where it's like, oh, well, we're just like, we want to be more connected and things like
Yeah.
that. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Like, having texting, having,
Oh, yeah.
like, just a phone call and not having to write letters to everybody, you know, kind of thing.
Or not having phone calls at all.
Or not having,
You know,
yeah.
just texting everyone.
Just text everyone, it's
or,
fine.
Or, you know, just sending emojis, because why communicate with humans? Like,
Why communicate with the alphabet? It's fine. But yeah, just like
yeah.
things like that. But like, I feel like there is, you know, the concerns are valid when it's like, you need to post like everything online. Like everything needs to be open to everyone to see.
Yeah.
And like, I get where people are concerned with that, where it's like, no, I'd rather like not have everything connected.
Like,
I'd rather
constant.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still that, like, I think with each generation, there's a different perspective on privacy and technology use, and what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Like, some people really do, like, they don't bat an eye at posting every little thing that they do. A lot of our smart devices are always listening so that you can be like, hey Google, hey Alexa, because if they're not listening, how will they know when you're talking to them?
Right.
But there's like the concern of like, well, if they're always listening, like how cool is that really? If they're always recording on a camera, like how cool is that really?
Yeah.
How comfortable are we with that? And I feel like every generation has a little bit of a different perspective on like, is this okay? Do I find this useful? Is the convenience and the use of it, does it outweigh my concern about it?
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I feel like everybody's different. Like there are still people in this world that are like Ron Swanson, you know, they find out that their address is on Google and so they throw their entire computer out the window, you know, and it's like, where are you at, right? Where is acceptable lack of privacy in replacement for like efficiency, convenience, use, etc., etc. It's different. It's different for everybody.
And I honestly think, I mean, that's such a personal thing. Like, do you need to have Facebook and Instagram and a TikTok account and, you know, all of these different things? Like, no. Like, if you don't want them, don't have them.
Yeah.
But if you're like, I'm only writing letters to people, I'm never texting anyone ever again or calling anyone.
It would be so rough. Like, I feel like people who are like, even something as simple as like, oh, I don't do emails because I don't like getting spammed or whatever. It's like, that's one less way that somebody can contact you. And that can be difficult. in this day and age. Like, if you have grandparents or parents or people who are like, oh, I'm not carrying around a cell phone, I'm not going to have a phone, like, how am I supposed to get a hold of you in an emergency or just in general? Like, it's not something that we necessarily always think of unless you're running up against that roadblock of someone feeling like, oh, this technology is like the devil.
Yeah. Seriously.
You know? But yeah, like, I'm not huge into social media, mostly because I'm lazy.
Yeah, I mean,
like, I'm just lazy.
Here.
Like, I actually got an Instagram account to try to get myself to take more pictures.
Same.
Yeah. Well, because it's like I want pictures of stuff. I want those memories. I freaking have the phone. I have a great camera. You know, I have all this stuff, but I don't think in the moment like, hey, Katie, take a picture of this thing or take a video of the cool stuff or whatever. Yeah. Like, I just don't think about it.
Yep.
And then I'm like, frick. After, I'm like, that would have been a great idea. Like Halloween, right?
Right.
We spent Halloween together. I have one picture.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's one more than I have, because I don't think I pulled out my phone once when we were all together.
Yeah, well, like, and the only reason I have that one picture is because we got the group photo.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
See? Yeah. Yep. See?
Yep. Oops.
I know, right? So, like, I don't know. I never got super into posting on any social media account just because I'm so freaking lazy. It does make me feel bad.
Yeah, like when I this makes me sound so old, but when I was a teenager, when I was a child, when I went back in my day. Exactly. But like when I was a teenager, oh, am I being too loud for the kitty? I'm sorry.
Poor Declan. Your life is so hard.
So hard. But, like, when I was a teenager and, like, Facebook was, just becoming a thing and everybody was super excited for it, I posted, I was one of those people that's like, Katie just woke up and is now going to do this thing.
Oh,
and,
my gosh.
I was one of those people.
It was, like, not, like, vlogging, but like one step away from it, where you were like actively in first person being like, this is what she's doing.
Yeah, like
reporting on things.
Because like way back when, Facebook used to be like posting right next to your name, so you could like form a sentence where it's like, Katie is doing this, and stuff. And so we're like, Katie just went and saw this movie. Katie did this. Katie did that. Katie is wishing everyone a happy
story,
like a happy or a happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, all that.
Yeah.
But, like, I posted everything, and now, like, I go months and months, unless, like, something big happens where it's, like, or I, like, went and did something really cool, and I have a bunch of pictures to share.
Yeah.
I don't use my Instagram account. I just post a whole bunch of pictures on Facebook.
Chuck pictures up wherever. I've actually really liked that you can, like, link all your accounts so it'll just post to all of them, because, like, ain't nobody got time for that.
Right?
Like, literally, my problem is that I'm just lazy. I'm just super lazy. But I do feel like having my Instagram has at least helped me to be more consciously choosing to take pictures because I want those memories, right? So I do like that I have done that. I don't think I'll ever be particularly good at posting like stories or whatever, but that's okay. I think it depends on your like comfort level.
You'd be a full-time content creator.
No,
I don't
this
have time.
podcast is about the extent of it, and like you guys will notice that there's never been a Facebook page about it.
Nobody's got time for that. I mean, some people have time for that.
Some people have time for that, and good for you. That's great. That's great. Maybe one day, but like for now, I'm just too lazy. I'm too lazy.
Nah, that's fair.
Maybe keep up with all the cool fancy tech, but that was a good first question.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. This tea hasn't steeped for quite long enough, but it is still very hot. So hope it's not too hot.
No, it's great.
Ooh, 11. We're still just right in the middle. Ooh, this is a great question. How do you feel about making phone calls, or how did you feel about making phone calls as a child versus now? Better? Worse? How do you feel about answering the phone? Once upon a time, when dinosaurs ruled the earth, we had a phone in the kitchen on the wall.
Yep.
With a cord, one of those spirally cords, that was about 175 feet long.
No joke.
It dangled down the wall, and
we're only laughing because
you could go around the whole house with it still attached. And there were big buttons. It was beige. The phone was like this weird off beige color. And there were big buttons, no screen, no nothing. It had a like boopy boop 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 tone.
No caller ID. Not even that.
Caller ID. It is literally just a phone, 2 steps away from being one of those circular phones where my grandma actually had one of those and we liked to play with it because it was so fun to see the little circle thing go around to each number.
Yep.
We were taught how to answer the phone and how to make phone calls by our parents, and would be like given the task of like, okay, if you want to hang out with your friend, you have to call them to practice answering the phone. And we had like a whole little, like when we would answer the phone, we had this whole little memorized thing that we were supposed to say as if we were like at a business or something. Like, thank you for calling Chick-fil-A. How can I serve you? It was like that, but for our family.
Thanks for calling Katie's house.
Exactly. This is the residence of such and such and so and so. How can I help you? Like we were an answering service. So that might have just been unique to us. But as a kid, my brothers, we would like fight over who got to answer the phone. Because it was like, ooh, somebody's calling.
Yeah, it's a mystery.
Oh, wow. Same thing with the door. It was like, oh, let's go answer the door. Back when people used to like walk to each other's houses and ring the doorbell.
Right? You didn't schedule ahead of time. You weren't like texting and getting like all of the information.
Up.
Yep.
They would just show up and like knock or like ring the bell.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember like one of the I guess a pet peeve of my parents, more specifically my dad, would be like if I was on the phone with a friend and they were like, "Hey, do you want to sleep over this weekend?" I'd be like, "Oh, let me go ask my dad or like my parents."
Yeah.
And if I ever had to ask my dad, I would like, you just use your thumb and cover like the mic.
Yeah, you literally just cover the mic.
Yeah.
Or you just mash it into your hand or whatever. Like you just
and then, like,
because you don't want to hang it up.
Yeah, and then like later on, then you have to call back. You're saving time. But like, my dad hated. He'd be like, "Do you have somebody on the phone?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, but it's like it's muted or like I have my thumb over it. Like,
it
they
is
can't hear
technically
you.
muffled.
It's muted. They don't know what you're saying.
Can't hear the trash we're talking about."
Yeah. And so I was like, "Do you have someone on the phone?" I'm like, "Yeah, they just need like a yes or no answer." He's like, "No, you hang up, and then
really
let them know that you'll ask your parents." And then you'll call them back. And like, I get where he's coming, like where he was coming from, like way back when.
Yeah, it's like waiting around, and then they hear this awkward, like muffled footsteps, and like it's a bit weird.
Yeah,
or
like,
whatever.
Just hang up, like tell them you'll call them back. Hang up. We'll talk about it, and then you can call them back and let them know.
Yeah.
Now that's super easy because it's like, oh, if you need like kids now, just need to be like texting their friend and be like, let me ask mom and dad.
Yeah.
They said yes.
Yeah.
But like my dad hated, he's like, they're just so rude.
That you still had them on the phone.
Yeah, he's like, it's so rude to like make them just like wait awkwardly on the phone. He's like, just hang up.
That's something we wouldn't even think about.
Yeah.
I never even thought about that. But I was terrified of making phone calls as a kid. Because I was scared that I would accidentally put in the wrong number and call a random person. And I don't remember if it ever happened, but there's no screen.
Yeah.
There was no screen. It was just a phone and a keypad.
Yeah.
There was no way to know, did you put in the right number? Did you miss a digit? Nothing. There's no way for you to double check. So I would regularly, like I would put in my friend's phone number, hang up, and immediately put it in again to make sure I had done it right.
Like, we're not talking to strangers today.
Yeah, I was so nervous. I was so worried that I would call some just random person that I had no business talking to.
That's fair.
Yeah. I was so scared. And now it's like, I don't care. I used to have all my friends, my parents' number, like my house number, because nobody had cell phones. I had my house number memorized. I had my friends' houses' numbers memorized. And like my grandparents, essentially.
Yeah.
I could still recite for you my house's phone number.
Yeah, when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Same here.
I can recite it. I can also recite our street address.
Yeah.
Like, we had a little tune that our parents had us memorize, as little certain names and stuff. And, like, now, sometimes I struggle to remember my own phone number.
Right.
Right?
People are like, what's your number? You're like, I don't know. I don't call myself.
I don't know. I had to look it up. But, yeah. And, like, my friends or my parents or my family members, like, have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I don't know what my work phone number is.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right?
The only reason I think I remember, like, my family's phone numbers is because they literally have not changed.
Ooh, that's nice.
For a while. Like, it took me a minute to memorize because when I served a mission and came back, I didn't have the same phone number anymore because, like, they turned off my phone.
Because it changes.
Yeah, and so, like, when I got a new phone, when I came back, my number was different.
Yeah.
So that's the only one I really had to memorize. Everyone else's phone number has basically stayed the same.
That's nice.
But, like, I struggle talking on the phone now.
Dude,
and I, like, as a kid, did not care. Yeah. It was just like, la la, dial someone, talk on the phone, whatever.
There's, like, zero inhibition.
Yeah. But I think it's because I've been in customer service for so long. Like, maybe I'm a little jaded.
You're, like, gun shy.
Because, now, like, they're... So, I was out of work for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And when I finally got another job, they asked me if I was okay making phone calls. And having been in customer service for over a decade, I was like, I've done phone calls all the time.
Like, technically, it was your job. Like, you're very comfortable.
Yeah, like,
professionally.
can I do it? Yes, but I found out very quickly, do I want to do it? No.
Oh, no.
Because I'm so sick and tired of, like, talking to people on the phone.
Yeah.
And, like, calling them and not knowing, like, how they're going to respond.
How are they going to react to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad. Because, like, you can call someone and be like, I'm so sorry, this. And, of course, they freak out because it's bad.
Yeah.
But then, like, you could literally call someone and be like, I want to give you $1 million. And they're like, absolutely not. You're horrible.
And they might be pissed off at you.
And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah. No, I hate. So, if I had to, like, put them on a scale, right? I would rather make phone calls than receive a phone call from somebody that I didn't know. Right? But they're both pretty close.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, essentially, like, if you're calling me and I don't have your number saved in my phone so it doesn't come up with, like, who it is, maybe you're a business but you don't have the caller ID, like, I'm not answering that phone call. That is not happening.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason why I have voicemail, and my voicemail is so that I can filter who are these weirdos that are calling me.
If you call me and I do not have your number in my phone, you'd better leave a message. Because I'm not calling you back.
Yeah, for real.
Because I'm going to assume that if you don't leave a message, it is not important.
That it was either not important or is a scammer. And, like, sometimes the scammers leave messages, but then I at least can be like, okay, cool, we get rid of that one.
Yeah.
Like, I would never, ever, ever answer a number that is unknown.
Yeah.
Period.
And I know people who do that. They're just like, I don't know who this is.
Just
and I'm like, oh, so you're not going to answer it. They're like, no, I am. And they answer, and I'm like
you crazy
why?
person. Yeah, and, like, I put my doctor's office phone number and stuff in my phone so that it will come up with caller ID so that I answer it.
Yeah.
But, like, most legitimate people or businesses or whatever will leave me a message and I'll listen to it because I'm a normal person and that's what my voicemails are for.
Yeah.
And, like, if it's important, you leave me a message, I'll call you back. But, yeah, if you're calling me and I don't know who you are, like, good luck. Leave me a message if it's really important.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, the reverse is true, too, where, like, I have to, like, kind of have a little, like, psych up pep talk for myself every time I make a phone call.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I'm not technically in customer service, but I do have to make a lot of phone calls.
Right.
And they may be positive, or they may be negative, or, like, there's everything in between. They might be hours long, right? They might be hour-long phone calls, or they might be 2 seconds.
Yeah, and, like, with what you do, like, emotions run high.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and so it's, like, even good news can be like, well, what about this? And you're like, it's fine, it's really fine.
Yeah. And I definitely have, like, certain people that it's like, I need to literally, like, have time set aside in my schedule to call this person about whatever, because I know I'm going to be on the phone for 30 minutes. And they're nice people, right? They're not going to attack me or anything, but it's just going to be a lot of questions and a long conversation, and man, it is so emotionally, mentally draining to do that on the phone. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
So the job I'm at now, they had me on calls, and after, I think I was only on the phone for like a month. And I was just like, I cannot do this anymore.
No.
I am, like, the burnout is real.
Yeah.
And I am so done talking to strangers on the phone. Like, granted, are most of them nice? Yes.
Yeah.
But it's those few that I'm just, like, so tired that even just one person a day getting mad at me or, like, just having a hard call.
That one person will totally wreck your whole day. Like,
Yeah.
I feel that so hard.
Yeah.
In my life. Like, we don't have a lot of, like, mean people.
Yeah.
But there will be some, right?
Yeah.
You can't interact with humans in any setting without bumping into some of them who are less nice.
They're having a bad day. They're having a bad day.
Maybe they're having a bad year. Maybe they're having a bad life. You don't know.
Yep.
But, like, you could have really great interactions, really wonderful people. Everybody's grateful for what you do, whatever. And then there's that one person who's just a little stink bug.
Yep.
And, like... And then your whole day is like, well, this sucks.
And you're like, I never want to call anyone ever
I
again.
never want to talk to humans again. Yeah. So I'm very, like, yeah, I do not like making phone calls. I have to mentally, like, psych myself up. And I have a purpose for, like, it's not like I'm just randomly calling a stranger by accident, which was my fear as a child.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I have a reason to call you. I'm an authoritative figure.
Yeah.
I'm the one driving this boat, you know? But, like, man, I'm scared.
Yeah. Yep. Well, now,
scared.
so I still work with the same company, but I told him, I was like, is there anything else I can do? Because
Yeah.
I'm struggling. And I love the company that I work for. I do not love what I do.
That's the thing that, like, takes you out of it.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I was like, I would love to stay. Is there anything else I can do? And they're like, how about doing almost the exact same thing, except you're texting people instead?
Problem solved.
And I was like, please let me do this.
Yeah.
And so that's what I do now, and I love it.
It's great.
And it's just, because, like, people can still be angry. You still get, like, the angry text if, like, something that they, like, thought was going to happen or whatever doesn't.
There's something about texting, though, that is, for me, like, less emotionally charged.
Yes.
Like, there's less emotional stress going into it, stepping away from it.
Yeah, there's
like,
something about hearing someone's voice.
Yeah.
Like, hearing the tone, hearing how, like...
them, but not being able to see them, so you can't read their body language. And there is problems with that in texting, too, right? It is literally just text. And, like, if you're not using emojis and stuff, like, I don't know, the sentence of, like, anything could either be interpreted as positive or negative, but it's text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Like,
and then you have autocorrect. And, like, I've gotten some messages where I'm like, oops. Are you mad, or is it just it autocorrected to the wrong thing?
It, yeah.
So we'll message them to, like, err on the side of caution, and we're like, we're so sorry that you feel this way, and then, like, 9 times out of 10, they'll write back, and be like, oh, no,
stupid autocorrect. Yeah.
They're like, you guys are wonderful, thank you so much.
I think that's actually something, since we are talking about tech and stuff, like, autocorrect is something that, like, at first when it would... like, change your messages to something stupid, everybody was, like, freaking out. And now it's, like, so commonplace and so assumed, like, you just are like, meh. Like, whatever. Yeah. Like, you don't even really have to apologize or even, like, explain yourself. It's just, like, oh, stupid autocorrect. Like, it's just, like, meh.
Yeah,
meh.
And I mean, like, I'm on, like, an online, like, D&D, like, text-based game.
Oh, gosh. So much autocorrect.
Right, and there's so much, and, like, there are some times when, like, people will catch it, and so you'll see, like, they edit their posts, and you're like, okay, cool, that is what you meant.
So you have your little asterisks for.
Yeah, and then there are other times when, like, people don't catch it, and I'm like, okay, I have to, like, figure out, and, like, puzzle out what you meant. And we'll make sure that this scene is going in the right way.
What is this word? That's funny. That's good. Let's do another question. Is your tea cooling off plenty right now?
Oh yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
Let's do this one. Let's do the big one.
Chunky dice.
Yeah. Oh, 7.
7. Ooh. Oh, this is great actually, since we kind of talked about like having a GPS like on your phone versus printing out MapQuest. Do you remember what the hell we did when we didn't have Google Maps? We didn't have constant internet access. We would just kind of like go off into the wilderness every time we stepped out of our home. What did we do?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I can get around fairly easily if I really know the area. Okay. Where it's just like, you turn here and you turn there, blah, blah, blah. If I had to go, like, as a teenager, if I had to go, like, the next, like,
Like the town
the
over.
next town over, or like 2 towns over.
Yeah.
Or, you know, heaven
going
forbid.
on a road trip.
Yeah. Heaven forbid, like, you were going on a road trip that was like an hour away or whatever to like go see that friend that was like way out there.
Forever away.
Like,
you don't have a cell phone to like call them while you're going there.
That's the biggest thing. It's like MapQuest, like, okay, we got through it and it was fine. And if you didn't really know where you were going, you could always like ask for directions or whatever. But like, I know that there are some people out there who, like, if they don't have their phone with them, they literally cannot function. Yeah. And it's like, okay, that, you're gonna be okay.
Maybe we should help you not have your phone with you a little bit.
A little bit.
Like,
because
it's a little too codependent.
Yeah, you have to be glued to your phone.
Yeah.
I panic if I forget my phone at home because I'm like, what if something happens? What if something happens to me?
Yeah.
What if something happens to somebody else? Somebody's trying to get a hold of me? So, like, that's my worry, is, like, we're so connected and everybody expects you
to immediately respond to things.
To, like, immediately, or at least
immediately, like, report.
Have the device with you that allows us to be connected. But and so, like, but I still remember, like, things, like, coming out when we were, you know, when we were younger.
Yes.
And, like, I remember my grandma being, like all of us just being fascinated by Google.
Oh, dude.
Like, when Google, like, became, like, this big official thing.
It was a search engine, but you could search anything.
Anything.
Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Google wasn't the only one. It's certainly the one that survived the most, but, like, just kind of search engines.
Yeah. I remember, I have this specific memory. I don't even remember how old I was, but I remember my grandma being like, you need to see this. And I was like, okay. And I went, she's like, sit down at the computer and, like, you know, just type in Google. I was like, okay. We went to Google. And she's like, now just type in anything you want to search for an image for. And I'm like, what?
You're like, what do you mean?
And she's like, just type in French fries. So we typed in French fries, and there were pictures galore of French
fries. You would just have fun, like,
fries.
searching for random stuff.
Yeah, like, we spent, like, the next, I swear, like, 30 minutes just typing in random stuff and being like, where are all these pictures coming from?
Whoa, where did this even come from?
Right?
Yeah. It became, like, search engines became basically the internet. It's like the front door of the internet. Like, I remember, and this is kind of tangenting off of it, but, like, I remember when, like, the internet was a thing, right?
Yeah.
But, like, search engines hadn't really become a thing quite yet. And so, like, you would go to a web page.
Yeah. Like, you had to know the web page.
You would go to a web page, and then you'd have to find a different web page if you were going somewhere else and browsing the web.
Yeah.
You know? Like, you would have to have the web page address, and if you didn't, like, heaven help you.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, if you forgot it, it was just gone.
It's just gonzos. Like, how would you find it? And so, like, search engine, like, you think about it now. Like, if I pull up my Google Chrome, right? Where does it take? Like, the first page that it opens is a search engine. And it's like the front door of the internet, right? Yeah. I don't have to know anymore my exact address of the web page that I'm trying to get to, the site, the shopping, whatever. I don't have to have that memorized. I just, like, search Google for, like, fuzzy Ugg boots on sale, you know, or whatever you're looking for or you need. It's the front door, but, like, there used to not be a front door, you guys.
Yeah, seriously. Well, and then just, like, the random things that, you know, you as a kid might have asked, like, your parents, like,
oh my gosh,
what is the sun, you know, kind of thing. You wanted to know everything there was to about the sun, and really you had to go and, like, you had to do your research, and you had to.
We went to the library,
or like if your parents could tell you, or like your grandparents,
or you just
whoever,
believed them,
or you just believed whatever they told you,
whatever random crap they told you,
kind of how the internet works right now.
That it was probably true,
but like,
because how else would you check?
Yeah, and now you go to Google and you're like, hey. Or, like, you could, if you have a Google Home, you just be like, hey, Google, tell me about this.
Yeah. Or Alexa or Siri. Like, they're just big, fuzzy search engines. Yeah. You know? But, like, we used to have to look that crap up in a physical book. Yeah. That was old. Yeah. Like, and we had to go looking for, you know, to find.
And I think, like, I mean, obviously, like, you take everything that you read on the internet with like a grain of
Oh,
salt.
absolutely.
But like there's so much information. Like if like I would never Google like symptoms I was having because I feel like everything leads to cancer on the internet.
Yeah.
You know? But like
it is just a search engine, guys.
Yeah.
Like that is what we're working with. But
Yep.
it can be a very effective tool.
Mm-hmm. Like
Right?
if you really like need to know something, or just like this past Thanksgiving, we like needed a very specific thing, and we were like, okay, we could literally go to 6 different stores to find this thing, or we Google who has it.
Yeah.
And we went to one store.
I had that exact thing, right? I was making some pies, and I needed one ingredient. I was doing a rhubarb custard pie.
Yeah.
Which is usually like a summer thing, but I love rhubarb custard pie, so I was like, I'm making pie, I'm gonna make this pie. Where was I supposed to find rhubarb in the middle of winter time?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Good luck.
I found it.
And you found it.
I found it. Because I had the internet.
Yeah.
Right? Before I had the internet, it would have been like, well, is it in the cupboard? Do we think it might be at this one grocery store?
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to spend our entire afternoon looking for this one ingredient, or we just kind of be like, well, we'll do it next time.
Yep.
Like, that's kind of what it would boil down to.
Yep.
But yeah, like, I remember road trips and things, and my parents having physical maps.
Mm-hmm.
Like, physical maps that we would freaking draw on.
Yeah.
Of, like, this is where we're gonna go. Right?
Yeah, like you just have it like the highlighted route, and so, but then like you had to know not only where you were going, but where you were.
Where you currently were, so you had to know how to read the map so you could figure out, okay, this is where, there's that exit, there's this road, so this is where we are. And like, yeah, we used to do like road trips. We had an RV and it was really fun. Like, it was super cool. We would drive across the country and go to like historic sites and stuff in the summer times. Like, it was way cool. Got lost all the time.
I mean, yeah.
Constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly. And yeah, if you were riding shotgun, it was your job to help navigate. And so it was very much a like, no, we don't want to. Right? We don't want to because that's so stressful.
Yeah.
Like, ooh.
Yeah. Well, and you see, like, I don't know if you're a fan of, like, The Last of Us.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, like, you see these, like, end-of-the-world scenarios where people who are, like, you know, they survive whatever happened initially.
Yeah.
And now, like, they don't have the technology that we have.
got
and so,
nothing.
like, they have to use maps, and you have to...
Yeah.
Hello, kitty.
He's come to join us.
But yeah, like there are a few scenes where like, where, you know, characters are trying to read maps. And it's like, if all of a sudden the internet crashed and all of our technology became useless,
what would you do?
What do you do?
What would you do?
What would you do?
Can you function?
Mm-hmm.
Would you continue to be able to do your job or get from point A to point B or like answer those random weird questions of like, is this water safe to drink?
Yep.
Right?
How do you know if it's safe to drink?
How do you know if it's safe to drink?
Yeah.
When should you be concerned?
Yeah.
How do you build a fire?
Mm-hmm. And
right?
like my dad and I, like, we used to go backpacking all the time and like camping when I was a kid.
That's
and,
cool.
You know, all these things. And so like, do I know how to start a fire? Yes.
Yeah.
Like, do I know how to like change a tire? Yes.
Yeah.
Am I gonna look at a berry bush and be like, that's safe to eat? No, because I just
probably just assume it's poison if you don't know for sure.
Like if you
right?
don't know for sure, and then there's like all of those survival tips out there, and like some of them are good, and some of them it's like, do not do that, you will die.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I mean, the technology we have now really is good in a way. Mm-hmm. But like going back to like kind of the original, like what we were originally talking about was just like there's give and take.
Yeah.
Like, you have technology that is really good. You have technology that's probably not super great. Mm-hmm. And you just kind of have to figure out what's best for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Where is that boundary? Where are you comfortable? Where does the convenience outweigh the concern that you might have? And, like, I've never been one to just, like, poo-poo on any kind of tech just because it's new or different or strange or whatever. But I think that also is, again, a testament to when we grew up. Because when we were growing up, we were getting all these things as they were coming out.
Yeah.
Right? And that was that was normal. It was normal that, like, new and different things. And so, do you want some tea, sir? You don't like tea. He says, I just want to be in the middle.
I just want to be the center of attention.
Yeah. But, like, there's that, like, fear of the new and different and becoming too dependent and things like that. And it's like, well, cool, then like learn some good skills so that if you are in a situation where your GPS doesn't work, that you could navigate your way out of it, you know, or whatever. Like, learn those good skills. I think it all comes with having it in the right perspective. Like, the whole perspective of Google is a search engine. Like, Siri is a computer. Yeah. Like, don't just take it with a grain of salt. Like, maybe do some more research. A little bit. Like, having that in good perspective and keeping it is a good perspective. That these are tools. Yeah. And just, like, like you were saying, just making sure that, like, you're not so dependent on it that if something were to happen and, like, your technology breaks, you know, you drop your phone and suddenly you don't have a GPS. Yeah. Maybe you're on vacation or whatever and your phone poops out. And now you have to, like, find your way to the airport for that return flight. Yeah. Without a GPS. Like, maybe don't be too scared to ask people for directions. You know? Seriously. Yeah. But, I mean, like, I remember my dad and I, like, went on a hike, and we had our little GPS with us, and my dad's like, it's gonna be, like, I want to say we thought it was gonna be, like, 7 or 8 miles. Yeah. And for whatever reason, the GPS that we were using did not, like, account for, it was accounting for, like, how the crow flies. Did not account for all the switchbacks we would have to do along the way. The actual trail. We ended up doing 13 miles. Yeah. And I remember my dad just being like, well, this isn't supposed to happen. And we're just like, I mean, you gotta laugh. Yeah, like, you gotta laugh about it now. But at the time, I was like, I am not, because we were like, okay, let's start off, like, fairly easy. So we'd start off with, like, 4-mile hikes, and then 6, 7, 8, 9. Like, working your way up. And we went from 8 to 13, and I was rough. Sore for days, because I was not so ready. No. Oh, gosh, yeah. Yeah, it can bite you in the butt. It can bite you in the butt, so. Yeah. Goodness. Well, I think we have time for maybe just, like, one more question. I forget who rolled the dice because we both just ended up asking. I think I rolled the big one and got the 7. Oh, that's right. I'm going to do the little teeny tiny. Oh, yeah. He's a baby. Boop. Oh, what are we doing? 18. Ooh. Okay. This is kind of interesting. This has been, like, a more serious podcast, which is fine. AI is a really, really big topic right now, especially in the creative world. Yeah. What is your experience with it? What do you think it should or should not be limited to doing for us? Ooh. And I felt like this was a pertinent topic mostly because, like, that's kind of our new big thing right now coming out is the possibilities of AI. That it was never quite ready for up to this point, right? I feel like we've been, the way our technology has been working together and building on itself, we were getting to the point where AI was going to be a legitimate thing that could function. But now it is on the cusp of that, and, like, how cool are we with that? Yeah. What box should we put it in? Should there be limitations? What should those limitations be, etc.? My experience with AI is a little different because I'm not working in a creative, well, I think it's a creative field, but it's not a creative field as far as, like, writing or, like, product production or like movies or things like that. I feel like there's a lot of very legitimate concerns on the part of AI for that field, for sure. Yeah. For me, we have AI tech already and have had for a while, and it's thankfully gotten better. For a hot second, like, there were AI functional things and tests and stuff that really, like, you had it because it was like, ooh, but you just kind of look at the results and be like, yeah, I'm going to do this myself, right? Yeah. Because it just wasn't quite there yet. But now it is there. Yeah. Do I like it? Like, yeah. I think it's cool. Yeah, I feel like it definitely has a huge place, and it has ways to make things more efficient. It's one less thing that I don't have to do. Right. That, like, my support staff doesn't have to do, so that we can put our time and efforts towards things that really, really need us versus, like, do I really need to look at all 20 of these slides of bacteria? Yeah. right? Like
right.
when there's enough pictures, there's enough research that you can teach a computer to recognize different cells.
Yeah.
Great, let them do it.
Mm-hmm.
Great, because then I don't have to look at those slides and waste my time when it needs to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's my experience, like, in a professional setting with AI. And I think it's great. I think it should be used for things like that.
Yeah.
Of efficiency and simplification, but it shouldn't be replacing the person.
Right.
Right? Like, I still check it.
Yeah.
I still read its report and look and make sure, like, okay, did we miss anything?
Right. Because, like, when you're... Like, AI can make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
We have the term human error for a reason because we all make mistakes.
We can make mistakes, too.
So I would say, like, yes, it saves you time, but also, like you just said, you check it.
Yeah,
you make sure that, like, everything that the AI is doing is like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
That I agree with it.
And it's saying, like, oh, if you're testing, like, all of these slides for a certain thing, and it goes, this is the one, this is the image that you need.
Yeah.
You're still going to look at it and be like, oh, yeah, that is or is not the image I need. You're not just going to take it and be like, yes,
woohoo.
This is the thing.
Yeah. Well, and it's the same thing because, like, my support staff that are trained to do that type of thing were the ones doing it before.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but if I didn't have support staff trained, then I was the one that had to look through all 20 of those slides.
Yeah.
Right? To find the one image that was useful, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and if it was my support staff, I still check on them.
Yeah.
Right? I would still be like, okay, what do you think? Okay, show me what you got. Okay. Right? It would shorten what I would need to do.
And especially, like, it's something super important like that. Like, you want another set of eyes, whether that is an AI, using, like, its technology, using, you know,
it's actually really
brain.
nice because it can pull from its bank of resources in its little AI brain.
Yeah, right? And you pull from your head all of the things that you know from, you know, just things that you have memorized or things that, like, oh, you're looking at
from
a
your
textbook.
Own training.
Yeah, from your own training. But it's always good. I feel like if we were to lean heavily into AI and be like, nah, it knows what it's doing, that would probably be a problem. Like, because I would not trust any human to always get everything right because it's just not how we are.
Yeah.
But I would also not trust a supercomputer to always be right because...
Oh, we've had supercomputers for a while, guys. My phone is right there.
Right.
Like, that is a supercomputer. Autocorrect F's up all the time.
Right? Yeah.
All the time.
Like, case in point right there.
Yeah, I think we can get, like, really, really close to, like, error-free stuff. But it's a work in progress. It's always going to be a work in progress because it's tech working with people who are biological, who are changeable. There's cultural context and, like, so many things that can mean that the result that you would think would be straightforward is actually wrong. Yeah. Once it's reported to us little squishy biological things. So it from that standpoint, I don't think it's ever going to be completely error-free.
Right. And I mean, you can go into more of, like, the artistic side of AI. I mean, you can... I use AI art when I do, like, D&D. Because I'm like, I, like... can try to describe it sometimes, but it's always nice, especially, like, in the text space, to be like, this is exactly what my character looks like.
Here's what my character looks like exactly.
Yeah. But then, like, if you look, like, some of the AI art that I have, like, on my phone, like, 99% of it, totally fine. But then, like, you'll look at the figure's hands, and they have, like, 20 fingers.
It's in the little subtle details.
Yeah.
And, like, even since, like, those programs and stuff have come out in the past, like, year to 2 years, they've gotten better. Like, you could compare doing the algorithm and creating the same image from year to year. And they've definitely gotten better, but yeah, like, there's that uncanny valley that sneaks in there.
Yeah, there's that uncanny valley, and just that, like, you can tell an AI, I need a picture of a cat. Its eyes need to be green, its fur needs to be orange, and all of these things, and it will come back with the most logical idea of what you're trying to tell it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, wow, that looks really good. And other times it's nightmare fuel.
You're like, oh,
because you're like, no,
my gosh, that's an eldritch horror.
Yeah, you're like,
please
that's not quite what I meant. Please burn the whole thing. You're like, that's not quite what I meant. Yeah. And so, like, I can tell you, like, hey, I have a cat at home that has orange fur and green eyes and is about yay big. And you understand what I mean. Yeah. You may not see the exact cat, but you understand what I mean. Yeah. Or, like, you tell an AI the same thing and it's, like, gives you a cat that looks like an orange sickle. Yeah. Like. Yeah. Or, like, a fruit. Yeah. Like the orange fruit with a cat face. With a cat face, yeah.
I mean, that might be hilarious, but, like, also, yeah, like, context and language, I think, affects it a ton. And I feel like, and again, I don't have any experience, like, that's casual use of an image generator, right? I don't have any experience personally for, like, actual artists worrying about their job being replaced. Right. Or, like, that's a lot of what got brought into the writer's strike of, like, worrying about their positions being replaced or overshadowed or undervalued because of the ease of AI taking over roles like that. For me, I would hate to live in a world where our art, whether it's written or painted or on a screen, wasn't created by us. Because it's for us. It's a way of expressing emotion and feelings and life with a language all of its own. Whether it's visual or sound-based, like, it doesn't matter. It's a way of expressing what it's like to be human. So why would we have a computer do that? Right.
And it's like, kind of going back to, like, that understanding where it's like you can be logical about something, but you also have to have the emotional aspect. Yeah. And, like, logic is great, like, it's in its own time and place. Yeah. But if everything is like, oh yes, this is what it's meant, like, this is what we need for, like, an action movie, this is what we need for a drama or a very emotional scene. Yeah. But it's like, if you don't have that emotional side, everything just kind of seems the same.
It's robotic.
Yeah.
And bland. Yeah. And, like, yeah, sure. Could we get to the point where an entire film franchise could be made exclusively written by AI, acted, edited, produced by AI? Is that possible? It's possible. Yeah. But I think we're getting into the realm of, like, Jurassic Park, of, like, scientists never stop to ask if we should.
Yeah. Like, you knew you could. You can. Yeah.
And I agree. Like, can we? We can.
Like, there's so many things we can do.
We can do it. Of course we can do it. Yeah. We're right on the cusp of being able to do it fairly well, I would say. But should we? Do you want to live in a world where your stories, your art, your movies, your podcasts, your songs are no longer made by a human that feels things, that is trying to express those things.
Yeah, it's trying to convey what they feel.
Yeah. Regardless of the implications to people's jobs, to grading in school, all of those other extremely valuable and pertinent positions, I feel like for me, the core of the issue is the reason why I like art, the reason why I want to produce artistic things, why I like to consume those things, is because it comes from a human that feels. And I want to feel a little bit of what they feel when I look at that painting or read that poem or watch that film. Yeah. You know?
There's actually a video game, I don't know if you've played it or heard of it, but Detroit Become Human.
Oh, no.
And it's kind of goes along those lines where to sum up very quickly, it's basically we're in a world where, like, androids are real.
In a world.
Yeah, let's make this super dramatic. In a world where androids are real. But they look human. Like, so it's no uncanny valley.
Hardcore it's like, cyborg vibes. Yeah. Like Data to the max.
Right? Like, I could... Love that, man. Oh, Data's great. great. But yeah, you could be looking at me and being like, oh, yeah, of course she's human.
She's a person.
And then all of a sudden I, like, detach my arm and
take off your arm and be like...
Yeah, and I'd be like, no, like, my entire face, everything about me is metal.
Yeah.
And, you know, like...
Artificial.
Is artificial. And so, like, the whole game is, follows 3 different androids and what it is like to be them. Because, like, one takes care of an old man, one is, like, a maid/nanny, and then the other one is a detective.
Whoa.
And so it's like they're bringing these in, and like
cool.
a lot of people like on the force, like on the police force, are like, we don't need a robot to do our job.
Yeah.
And you find that like
threatened by it, as you do.
But the whole point of the game is showing like where is that line?
Yeah.
Like when people have an android for everything, like you kind of see them throughout the game becoming like colder. Like, they can be awful to this thing that looks completely human because they know it's not.
Because they know it's not.
And
so then, can you then treat everyone
right? And so
like
they start to treat other people like they're
easy.
less because it's like, oh, it just becomes easier.
Yeah.
But then, on the android side of things, they're like, wait, why, like, I look human... and I sound human, and I act human, so why am I any
not
less
accepted?
than you,
yeah.
who is human?
Yeah.
And so they start to question things about themselves and about the world around them. It's a beautiful game.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Yeah. That's, like, right up my alley.
Oh, it's really good. It's really, really good. But, yeah, it goes back to that whole, like, AI, where it's like, do we replace every single thing in our lives, including like in the game, it kind of alludes to, not really alludes, but it kind of talks a little bit about how people are replacing like their significant others with these androids because like, they're perfect.
Yeah, we think about like the appeal of when cell phones first became a thing. And why would you replace your home phone with a cell phone? You have a home phone, you don't need it. But it's the convenience, it's the appeal of like, yeah, you have a home phone, but now you have a phone that can go with you where you go. So that you don't have to be without phone calls. Or why don't we put a camera on this phone now?
Yeah.
So you don't have to buy a camera and a phone. You have them in one.
Yeah.
Right? Why buy a GPS and a camera and a phone when now you have one thing?
Or like when your teachers told you that you wouldn't always have a calculator with you, and now you do.
They freaking lied.
They lied to us.
Now, like, should you be able to do basic math without a calculator? Yes. Yes. Yes.
Please
should
know
you
that
have to do long division without a calculator? No.
Like, should you, and like that can open a whole nother thing where it's like,
but like going back to it, like we as humans, like we love convenience, we love things to be easy. What's the most complicated thing you've ever experienced? A relationship with another human being. Yep. So like what if this other quote unquote human being was this cool android that if they had a habit or a tick or an opinion or a personality that you didn't super love, you just reprogram it.
Yep, just reset it.
Yeah, so why wouldn't that be so appealing? That would be so appealing. Like,
where you have like your perfect
in the worst
partner.
way possible.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? In the worst way possible. You would have your perfect partner no matter what, meaning that you would never have to change or grow as a person. But like I love that you brought that up because I didn't even think about like Data. I'm such a nerd. I love Star Trek.
Data is the best.
I love how often they would like bring into question like what makes humans human, what like the different questions of race and rights and things, the way they address these big topics without like getting nasty about them. And there's so many different ones where like Data's humanity was questioned. And his whole quest throughout all of the episodes, through all the years, was to try to feel emotion, to try to be more human. And here we are like on the cusp of having this incredibly powerful AI tool. It's almost like we're going the opposite direction. Like we're trying to step away from being human. And I say this in the same breath of, I feel like AI is super useful, but it's a tool and we should treat it like a tool.
Yeah.
Right? And we should have uses for that tool and uses that are not for that tool.
Right.
And if we're replacing humans and the humanity of things, I don't think that's a use for that tool.
Yeah. And it honestly, I feel like this whole conversation can be tied up in that Jurassic Park.
Oh my gosh,
quote,
yeah.
Where it's like, you knew that you could, but you didn't take time to ask if you should.
Yeah.
So it's like, can we do all of these things with technology? Where will we be in like 100 years with our technology? Cool, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, maybe take a step back just a little bit and look at where we were, look at where we are, and figure out like where technology in and of itself is like good for you and good for humanity, I guess.
Yeah. Where do you want to go?
Yeah.
Like, ask that should we question.
Mm-hmm.
And in what context should we?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have to wrap things up. This has been such a great
That was a good one.
topic.
Like, good topic.
So good. We got really into it. But yeah, guys, like technology isn't bad. It's not bad. It's a tool,
no.
right? You're using it right now if you're listening to my podcast. Wake up. Like, it's not bad. I think just like any tool, it has its appropriate uses and it has ones that aren't, right?
Right.
Like, you could use a greatsword to make toast and butter your bread.
Sounds like an adventure.
Should you do that? No.
No, probably not.
It would be extremely awkward, and you might end up without a hand or a finger, or like just really poorly bread toast, buttered toast.
Yep.
There's the words.
There you go.
Don't be scared of tech. Just keep it in its lane.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
And just like do your research. Like be
do your
informed
research
and all that.
and be an advocate for humans.
Yeah.
For humans.
For humans.
Because we're here.
And we and
we feel the feelings. And it's great.
don't be afraid to talk to people on the phone.
You know, well, okay. I don't know.
We'll get there.
I don't think I'll ever not be scared to talk to people on the phone.
Fine.
But, like, it's okay. I think it's okay to be nervous to talk to people on the phone. And that I've accepted that about myself. But hey, guess what? I still talk to people on the phone every day. Mm-hmm. And I'll recognize it and be like, so recognize your fears, recognize your feelings, but work with them.
Yeah.
You know, work with them.
That's fair.
It's okay. This is all we have time for today, guys. But we'll talk at you later.